It's just one dinner. Don't be petty. My wife, Lauren, said with that smug little smirk she always wore when she thought she had the upper hand. Her sister, Madison, chimed in like some backup singer in a broken band, waving a $3,000 bill in my face for a dinner I wasn't even invited to. Just one dinner, huh? I stared at the receipt like it was evidence in a murder trial. The kind of place where they charge you $400 for a plate that looks like a damn garnished tray. That kind of money, spent in a single night, while I was home feeding our dog and fixing the busted garbage disposal. Lauren looked stunning, yeah? Red dress clinging to her like danger, hair done like she was walking a red carpet, perfume that hit like a soft slap. But it was the look in her eyes that made me freeze. Not guilt, not shame, arrogance, like daring me to say something, like she already won. Oh, you want to see petty? I said, setting my beard down without breaking eye contact. That smirk slipped just a hair. Good. She laughed, flipping her hair back. Oh God, Aiden, don't be dramatic. It's just dinner. You make decent money. Don't be weird about it. Madison had the audacity to roll her eyes. Jesus, you act like you're poor. That was it. I didn't scream. Didn't throw anything. I smiled. Cold. Calculated. I stood up, grabbed my keys, and walked out. They thought that was the end of it. That I'd cool off and come crawling back with a half-hearted apology and a check. Like always. But this time was different. This wasn't just about the dinner. It wasn't even about the money. It was the final crack in a wall that had been crumbling for months. The late-night work meetings. The sudden yoga retreats with no photos. The way she'd pull away when I tried to touch her. The lies, told so smoothly, it almost made me question my own mind. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the driveway, engine off, just thinking. 3 hours later, I had a plan. First thing I did, canceled her cards. All of them. She woke up to decline charges and a barrage of texts from her sister. That part was fun. Then I made calls. I had friends. Old ones from before the marriage. One of them, Connor, worked in private security. Another, Travis, ran a high-end audio surveillance business. I didn't need to ask twice. They owed me favors. I was about to collect. By the next day, we had a GPS tracker under Lauren's car and tiny cameras hidden in the corners of the house. And I mean tiny. Stuff you don't even notice unless you know what you're looking for. Then I waited. And what I saw over the next 72 hours changed everything. Day 1, nothing. Just gym, spa, lunch with Madison. Innocent. Day 2, something felt off. Her work call lasted 2 hours. She was in the bedroom the whole time, but she wasn't talking much. Day 3, jackpot. He came at 1:14 p.m. A tall guy, shaved head, muscles like he didn't wear shirts for a living. Walked into my house like he'd done it 100 times. Lauren met him at the door wearing my old hoodie and nothing underneath. They didn't even make it to the bed. They went right at it on the living room couch. I watched it on my phone from the bar. The bartender must have thought I was watching a horror film by the look on my face. My heart didn't even beat fast. That was the scary part. It was like a cold stillness settled inside me. Like watching your childhood house burn down and feeling nothing. I finished my drink, paid my tab, and started planning part 2. This wasn't just going to be revenge. This was going to be art. I didn't go home that night. I stayed at a buddy's place, told him I needed a few days. He didn't ask questions, just handed me a beer and a pillow. While Lauren was playing house with her new toy on my furniture, I was flipping through every moment of the last year. Every time she said, "I'm tired," or "not tonight," or "you're imagining things." Turns out I wasn't imagining a damn thing. I was just being played by someone who had gotten too confident, too comfortable lying to my face. The next morning, I woke up to 10 missed calls from her. A few texts. "Lauren, where are you? Lauren, we need to talk. Lauren, don't be immature. Lauren, are you seriously ignoring me over a dinner bill?" No mention of the guy. Not even a sniff of guilt. That's how deep the lie was rooted. She really thought I didn't know. That I was just pouting over the money. So I replied once. Just once. Me. Dinner was the appetizer. I've got the whole course coming. Then I turned off my phone and got to work. First, I changed the locks. Had every keyhole reworked by noon. She wouldn't even be able to slip in unnoticed anymore. Then I stopped by the office of our financial advisor. Lauren didn't know I had updated the paperwork months ago. Everything joint. Now frozen. Our house. Under my name. Bought with my pre-marriage inheritance. Her car? Leased under mine. She owned nothing. Still, I wasn't done. I wanted her to feel it. Not just the loss of money. I wanted her to feel what it was like to be humiliated, to be caught. So I printed a few stills from the footage. Nothing graphic, just enough to make the message clear. Her on top of him, his hands all over her. Date. Time. My couch. My goddamn hoodie. Then I mailed them to her office in a manila envelope with a sticky note that said, "Smile for HR." 2 hours later, she called again. This time voicemail. "Aiden, what the hell is this? What are you doing? Are you trying to ruin my life?" I played it twice, just to hear the panic in her voice. Good. You don't spend 2 years building a life with someone just to be cast aside for gym biceps and smooth talk. She thought she could have it all. Fancy dinners, secret flings, a husband to pay the bills, and a lover to keep her entertained. But she didn't understand who I was. See, I'm not the guy who yells and throws things. I'm the guy who watches, waits, plans. And when I strike, it's clean, precise, devastating. I went home that night, knowing she'd try to confront me. Sure enough, 10:47 p.m., doorbell rings. Lauren on the front step in a tight blazer, face flushed with anger, or maybe fear. Probably both. "You changed the locks?" she snapped, like she had any right to be angry. I opened the door, leaned against the frame. "You changed a lot more than that." She pushed past me. "This is insane, Aiden. You're acting like a psycho. You're blowing everything out of proportion." "Really?" I said, walking behind her. "Because I saw you blowing something else, and I'd say the proportion was exactly right." She turned fast, eyes wide, jaw clenched. "You spying on me now? You put cameras in the house." "You put him in the house," I said, stepping close. "I just recorded the crime scene." For a second, just a second, I saw her real face. Not the mask she wears in public. Not the flirty, fake-smiling Lauren. No, this one was stripped of all charm. It was fear, not because she felt sorry, but because she realized she was losing control. "He means nothing," she hissed. "It was just a mistake." "No," I said calmly. "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is burning the roast. What you did was a decision. Repeatedly. In my house. On my time." She crossed her arms, defensive. "So what? You're divorcing me now? Taking everything? You think anyone will believe you weren't some controlling husband who pushed me away?" I smiled. Slow. "No, Lauren. I'm not divorcing you." She blinked. "You're not." "No. I'm ruining you first." And I meant it. Every word. She stood there, stunned, like she couldn't figure out if I was bluffing or had finally lost my mind. I could see the gears turning behind her eyes, trying to calculate the damage, trying to decide if she could spin this. That's who she was. Always in survival mode. Always plotting the next move to keep herself floating while someone else drowned for her mistakes. "You don't have the balls," she said, but her voice cracked halfway through. "I didn't," I answered. "But then I saw you wrap yourself around that guy on my couch, while our dog barked at the window like he knew something was off. That kind of thing changes a man." Lauren scoffed, but she couldn't meet my eyes. "You were distant first. You never paid attention. You always had your head in work." I stepped forward, my voice dropping low. "I paid every bill. I kissed you goodnight, even when you were cold as ice. I fought for this marriage alone. And while I was out there busting my ass to build a life, you were spreading your legs for someone who can't spell mortgage." That hit her. Hard. Her lip quivered. She tried to spin away, but I wasn't done. "You brought your sister into this too? You two laughed in my face, handed me that bill like I was your damn bank account. What else have you two been planning behind my back, huh? Matching affairs? Or were you just covering for each other while you both acted like spoiled brats on vacation from reality?" She needed help. "Bullshit," I snapped. "You needed attention. You needed someone to worship you because I had the nerve to ask about credit card statements and why you smell like a different cologne every Thursday." Silence stretched between us, sharp and cold. "I never meant to hurt you," she whispered. I nodded. "But you didn't care if you did either." She stood there, and for a second I thought she'd break down. Cry. Apologize. Something. But instead, her face hardened. That cold, venomous mask slid back into place. "You're really going to throw everything away over one mistake?" "One." I laughed. "You think this was one? You're a damn serial offender. You got comfortable. You thought I'd never notice. Or if I did, I'd still stay. That I'd be too weak to do anything." Her smile curled cruel. "You are weak. You're just dressed up like a man tonight." I tilted my head. "If I'm weak, Then what does that make you? Standing here in a house you don't own, begging a man you don't respect to stay? Boom. Silence. Like the air got sucked out of the room. She turned away, grabbing her purse like it would protect her from the weight of the truth. I'll talk to my lawyer, she muttered. I nodded. He'll be getting a call from mine too. She paused at the door. You'll regret this, Aiden. No, I said, calm and steady. But you will. Every time you sit in your sister's guest room, wondering where it all went wrong, you'll regret underestimating me. She slammed the door behind her. I didn't flinch. And when the echo faded, I walked to the liquor cabinet, poured myself a drink, and raised the glass to the silence. For the first time in years, it actually felt like home. And in that silence, I realized something. I wasn't broken. I was finally awake. The days that followed were like standing in the eye of a storm. Everything calm on the surface, but I could feel the winds circling around me, just waiting to tear everything apart. Lauren didn't come back. Not for clothes. Not for closure. And definitely not for an apology. Instead, she sent her sister, Madison, to talk things out. Yeah, the same Madison who waved that $3,000 bill in my face like I should have thanked her for the honor of paying it. She showed up without warning, looking like she was about to walk a red carpet. Tight jeans, designer jacket, fake concern glued to her face. I didn't even let her pass the doorway. Aiden, we need to be adults about this, she said, already annoyed that I didn't invite her in. You first, I replied. Maybe start by explaining why your sister was doing a full-body workout on my couch with someone who wasn't me. Madison blinked, that fake empathy slipping. Lauren is going through a lot, okay? You've always been kind of intense. She just needed a break. Right? I said, arms crossed. So she decided to break our vows instead. Madison sighed, like I was being unreasonable. You're not making this easy. She didn't mean for it to go this far. Oh, so there was a limit? I said, voice sharp. Was it the second time? Third? Or the part where she started spending my money on five-star getaways while she moaned someone else's name? Madison rolled her eyes, then said something that almost made me laugh. You're just being dramatic. That's when it clicked. Lauren didn't just lie to me. She surrounded herself with people who enabled the lies. They created this bubble where loyalty didn't exist, where betrayal was just a bad choice of timing, not a breach of everything sacred. I stepped back and slowly closed the door. Tell her to send her lawyer. I'll be ready. And I was. I'd already begun gathering everything. The security footage was saved and backed up on multiple drives. I printed financial records, collected text messages, even dug through phone bills. The narrative she was likely preparing, that I was cold, distant, maybe even abusive, wasn't going to survive the receipts. But this wasn't just about divorce now. This was about exposure. About ensuring she couldn't slither her way into another man's wallet or heart the way she had with me. Then came the message that flipped everything on its head. Connor, my friend who helped with surveillance, sent me a file. Dude, the message read, you're going to want to see this. She wasn't just cheating. She's been planning to screw you in every way. The video started in some high-end restaurant. Hidden mic from a contact. Lauren, dressed to kill, laughing with some guy in a tailored blazer. Not the muscle head from before, a new one. Maybe number 3? Who knows? But what she said, once the divorce starts, I'll play the abandoned wife card. He's too calm to get violent, so I'll fake depression. My sister will back me up. The judge will buy it. The man across the table chuckled. You think he'll just hand over the house? Lauren smirked. Please. He's so worried about looking like the good guy, he won't even see it coming. Worst case, I cry. That always worked. My fists clenched. This wasn't just betrayal. It was strategy. A long game. She hadn't just fallen out of love. She had weaponized it. That night, I didn't drink. I didn't rage. I made another plan. See, she thought I'd fight her with emotion. She thought I'd crumble, yell, beg, or turn bitter and make mistakes. But I wasn't going to fight her at all. I was going to outplay her. I wrote an email to my lawyer with the recording attached, outlining everything. I made it clear I wasn't after revenge. I was after justice. Then I scheduled a meeting with a divorce consultant who specialized in high-conflict cases. The kind where one party is a manipulative snake dressed like a damsel. And before I went to sleep, I printed that transcript from the dinner conversation. Because the next time Lauren tried to cry in front of a judge, I wanted to be the one holding the tissues. Let her perform. I'll bring the spotlight. A week passed, and I heard nothing from Lauren. No texts, no calls. Just silence. But silence from her didn't mean peace. It meant preparation. And sure enough, on Friday morning, an envelope slid under my door. Legal papers. Divorce filing. Along with a handwritten note that said, "We can still do this the easy way." The easy way? This woman thought that door was still open? After everything? After the video, the lies, the performance she was planning to pull in court like she was auditioning for an Oscar? I didn't even get angry. I smiled. The next morning, my lawyer filed the counter with all my evidence. Her adultery, her spending, the surveillance footage, the restaurant recording. Every shred of truth she tried to bury, I dragged it into the light. She wanted war. I was already on the battlefield with artillery. But just as I started thinking she'd stay quiet and regroup, she sent Madison again. This time, she came with crocodile tears and a desperate tone. "You're ruining her life, Aiden," she said, sitting across from me at a small coffee shop I agreed to meet her at. For entertainment, really. Funny, I said, sipping my coffee. I thought she was doing a pretty good job of that herself. She's not eating. She's not sleeping. She's scared of what you'll say in court. I leaned in. Good. Madison blinked. You used to love her. I loved who I thought she was, I said. But she's just a mask. Pretty outside, hollow underneath. She made a mistake. No, I said. A mistake is forgetting someone's birthday. She orchestrated a con. Madison sat there, quiet for a moment, then pulled out her phone. She said to show you this. Said maybe it would make you stop. She played a video. Lauren, sitting on the edge of a bed, mascara smeared like she just cried for hours. Aiden, she began, her voice weak. I know I hurt you. I know I betrayed everything we built. But I'm still human. I still have feelings. I was lost. And you were never really there. I'm sorry, okay? It was a good performance. She even paused in the right places, sniffled just enough, stared into the camera with eyes that said victim. But it was too perfect. Like a PR campaign. She practiced that, didn't she? I asked. Madison didn't answer. She didn't have to. I stood up. Tell her I'm not stopping. She didn't just cheat on me. She tried to erase me. Now she can live with the version of me she created. I left Madison there, blinking through the last of her fake concern. Later that night, Connor texted me again. You sitting down? He sent a video file. This time, it wasn't Lauren. It was her new boyfriend, the one from the couch. Apparently, he didn't know she was married until after. The guy was furious. Connor had him on camera throwing her out of his apartment, screaming about how she lied to him too, how she said I was abusive and checked out of the marriage. She really spun a web, told everyone something different. But now, all the spiders were catching each other. The next day, my lawyer got an anonymous tip, probably from the guy himself, that Lauren had falsified some financial documents she submitted in her divorce filing. Perfect. We had her on infidelity, perjury, and reputation fraud. At this point, she wasn't just losing the house and assets. She was staring down the possibility of sanctions or criminal charges. When she finally called me again, her voice was ice. Not sad. Not apologetic. You've made your point. No, I said. You made mine. She exhaled, sharp. Just tell me what you want. I paused. Let the silence bite. I want you to feel what I felt. When I watched you lie. When I saw you bring another man into our home. When you told the world I was the villain. You're not innocent. Neither are you, I said. But I didn't fake tears to try and steal someone's future. I didn't weaponize love. There was a beat of silence. Then she said it. You're a cold bastard. I learned from the best. Then I hung up. She didn't call again. A week later, I showed up in court wearing the same suit I got married in. I figured it was poetic, were it once for the lie, once more for the truth. Lauren walked in 20 minutes late, dressed like she was on her way to a charity gala, not a divorce hearing. That smug little smile had returned, but there was a twitch in her eye. The kind of twitch people get when they know the walls are about to close in. Her lawyer looked tense. Mine looked bored. We sat down, and the judge asked if either side had anything to submit before opening statements. My lawyer stood up and calmly placed a thick folder on the table. Your Honor, we'd like to enter into evidence a collection of digital and physical materials that pertain to Mrs. Coleman's conduct during the marriage. Lauren's smile faltered the moment he said conduct. She turned to whisper to her lawyer. He didn't look back at her. The judge flipped through the first few pages, financial statements, screenshots of texts, highlighted lines of her dinner date strategy with that smooth-talking clown she thought would save her. Then came the still shots of her with lover number 1, and the transcript of her little performance speech at the restaurant with lover number 2. When Lauren's lawyer finally stood to object, his voice was dry, weak, like even he didn't believe in what he was doing. The judge leaned back in her chair. Mrs. Coleman, would you like to respond to these allegations? Lauren stood up, adjusted her dress, and gave the room her best broken angel look. Your Honor, none of this changes the fact that my husband was emotionally unavailable and treated me like a ghost in my own home. She said it with such confidence that I almost believed her. Almost. My lawyer responded without emotion. We have evidence Mrs. Coleman planned to fabricate emotional abuse in order to sway the outcome of this trial, including statements she made on recorded audio during an unprompted dinner conversation with a third party. The courtroom went quiet. You could hear the sound of her throat swallowing. The judge gave her a long, measured look. Mrs. Coleman, I would advise you to tread carefully. If I find out that you submitted false information or attempted to manipulate these proceedings, it won't be your ex-husband facing consequences. That was the first moment I saw real fear in her eyes. She sat down slowly, her body suddenly small in that designer outfit. The rest of the hearing blurred together. I answered questions, stated facts, recounted dates, bank transfers, incidents of emotional manipulation. Lauren mostly stayed quiet, her posture sinking lower with every damning point. Her sister wasn't there. No friends. No allies. By the end of it, the judge ruled in my favor: full ownership of the house, majority of the joint assets, and a restriction on alimony based on misconduct. Her claims of emotional neglect were dismissed entirely. Lauren looked straight ahead, jaw tight, hands trembling. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. But I saw it in her eyes, the rage of someone who built a throne on lies and was now choking on the dust of it collapsing. Outside the courthouse, as people were filing out, she caught up to me in the parking lot. You're proud of yourself? She hissed. You think this makes you some kind of hero? I turned to face her. No, I'm not the hero in this story. But I'm not the fool either. You humiliated me, she snapped. No, Lauren. You did. I just made sure no one missed the show. She stepped forward like she was about to slap me, but stopped herself. Her face twisted with something between hate and regret, and she spat out the last desperate line. I should have never married you. I smiled. Then we finally agree on something. I turned and walked away. She didn't follow. I didn't celebrate. No victory dance, no drinks with the boys, no posting cryptic quotes online about knowing your worth. I just went home, locked the door behind me, and stood in the hallway for a long, long time. Everything looked the same. Same walls, same pictures, same scent of her perfume still clinging to the guest towel she never used. But it felt different. For the first time in what felt like years, the silence wasn't suffocating. It was clean. Still. Honest. I sat on the edge of the bed, the one where I used to sleep beside a stranger, and let the weight of it all finally settle in. This wasn't just a breakup. It was an exorcism. A full extraction of a woman who had spent years pretending to love me while carefully slicing away at my spine. The betrayal still burned, but now it wasn't fire, it was scar tissue. Ugly, but solid. And strong. A few days later, I ran into someone who knew both of us. A woman from Lauren's gym, Ashley. We'd spoken once or twice, casually. She waved me down in the grocery store, looking almost afraid to approach. I heard, she said quietly. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. I didn't know how bad it was. I gave a tired smile. Most people didn't. She hesitated, then added, she used to talk a lot. At the juice bar. Said you were boring. Controlling. Emotionally dead. I nodded slowly. Yeah, that tracks. She said you'd never leave her. That she could do whatever she wanted, and you'd still come crawling back. I looked at her, steady. Then I guess we both surprised each other. Ashley smiled, a little sad. She's not taking it well. I'm not surprised. She's telling everyone you set her up. I raised an eyebrow. I didn't have to. She did that all on her own. And that was the truth. I didn't destroy her. I just stopped shielding her from her own reflection. Later that night, I got one more message from her. Just one line. Lauren, you win. I stared at it for a few seconds. Not angry. Not smug. Just tired. I didn't respond. Because it wasn't about winning. It was about surviving. It was about finally choosing myself. A week passed. Then another. The world didn't end. Bills still came in. The dog still needed walks. Laundry still piled up. But little by little, Life stopped feeling like something I had to endure. I started going out more. Reconnected with people I'd lost while married to someone who'd made isolation feel like intimacy. One night, I found myself at a local bar, sitting with Connor and Travis. We didn't talk about the divorce much. We didn't have to. They knew. Instead, we talked about normal things, bad movies, traffic, sports. And I laughed. Like genuinely laughed. When I got home that night, I looked around and didn't see a battlefield anymore. I saw a blank canvas. And I realized something else. Maybe the whole thing had to happen exactly the way it did. Maybe I needed to fall for the wrong woman to learn how to stand up for myself. To stop mistaking endurance for love. To understand that silence doesn't mean peace when it's full of lies. Lauren had been a storm in a red dress. Beautiful. Destructive. But I wasn't standing in the wreckage anymore. I was standing in the clear. And I wasn't looking back. It's strange how quiet peace can be. Some mornings I still wake up expecting chaos. An angry text, a slammed door, her voice echoing through the hallway with some new complaint or accusation. But there's nothing. Just the hum of the fridge, the soft breathing of the dog curled up on the floor, and sunlight creeping across the hardwood like it's never seen war. The first real sign that I was healing came in the smallest moment. I made breakfast. Eggs, toast, nothing fancy. But for the first time in years, I didn't cook for someone else's mood. I didn't worry if the yolks were runny enough for Lauren's impossible standards or if the toast was too crunchy. I just made what I wanted, how I wanted. And it tasted like freedom. Still, there were scars. You don't walk through a fire like that and come out without some burns. Sometimes, I'd catch myself replaying her words in my head. The manipulation, the gaslighting, the smug little phrases she used to cut me down without raising her voice. Are you really going to wear that? God, you're so sensitive. You think too much. You're just boring now. Each one had chipped away at me, a slow erosion I hadn't even noticed while it was happening. She didn't just cheat with her body. She cheated with her words, her silences, her ability to make me question my own worth. But the difference now? I remembered them without believing them. She didn't break me. She just revealed who she really was, and who I had become while trying to love someone incapable of loyalty. One afternoon, I got a call from my lawyer. She's not contesting anything anymore, he said. Full settlement's going through. You'll have your paperwork by the end of the month. Thanks, I said, then paused. She really just gave up? She tried to spin it at first, he added. Played the mental health card, tried to imply retaliation. But once we laid out the evidence, her own team told her to walk away before it got worse. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I remembered the footage. The lies. The way she twisted everything in her favor until there was no air left for truth. I remembered standing in my own house feeling like a stranger. I remembered her walking in from those dinners, tipsy, flushed, and too satisfied for someone who claimed she was just networking. No pity, just closure. The final document arrived on a rainy Thursday. No dramatic music, no punch in the chest, just a FedEx envelope with my name on it, and a line at the bottom that read, "This decree is final." And that was it. 3 years of marriage, dozens of lies, hundreds of quiet betrayals, reduced to 12 pages and a signature. I didn't cry. I didn't toast. I just sat on the porch with a cup of black coffee and listened to the rain hit the roof. It felt like a baptism. Later that night, I took down the last photo of us. The one in Paris. Eiffel Tower in the background, her arms around my neck, pretending the world was perfect. I flipped it over, looked at the back. She'd written, "Best day of my life." Funny, that was the same weekend I first noticed her locking her phone. I burned the picture. Didn't even hesitate. Some people you remember for how they made you feel. Others, you remember for how they made you forget yourself. Lauren was the latter. But now I remember me. And I'm never forgetting again. Spring came fast this year. The kind of warmth that creeps into your bones before you realize you're not shivering anymore. I started opening the windows again, letting the breeze in, letting the ghosts out. I'd cleared out almost everything that reminded me of her. The dresses she left by accident, the perfume bottles in the bathroom cabinet, even the wine glasses we never used because she was cutting sugar for the 10th time. I boxed it all, dropped it off at her sister's place without a word. Madison opened the door, gave me a look like she wanted to say something. I didn't give her the chance. I turned, walked back to my truck, and drove away. There's something about reclaiming your space. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. I used to walk on eggshells in my own house, afraid one wrong word would set off another passive-aggressive avalanche. Now, I walk barefoot, music playing, windows open, nothing but my own voice in the room. Peace is louder than I thought. I started seeing a therapist, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to make sure I wasn't carrying pieces of Lauren into my future. I didn't want to look at another woman and flinch when she smiled. I didn't want to hear laughter and wonder if it was fake. I didn't want to become the kind of man who punished the next person for the crimes of the last. One session, my therapist asked, "What's the thing you regret the most?" I didn't even need to think. Letting her convince me I was hard to love. Because that's what Lauren did best. Not just cheating, not just lying. She made me doubt my own value. Made me think her coldness was a reaction to my inadequacy, when in reality, she was already halfway out the door. Already building another life while I was trying to hold the pieces of ours together. I've stopped blaming myself. That took time, but it came. One night, I ran into an old friend I hadn't seen since the wedding. His name's Kyle. We grabbed a drink, caught up, and somewhere between the second and third round, he said, "You know, we all saw it, man. We just didn't know how to say it." Say what? That she was never really in it. You were carrying the whole damn relationship on your back. That hit me harder than I expected. Not because it was new, but because it confirmed what I'd always suspected deep down. That I wasn't crazy. That I hadn't imagined the distance or the way she looked at me like I was furniture. Useful. Static. Forgettable. I asked him, "Why didn't anyone say anything?" He shrugged. "We thought maybe you saw something we didn't. Maybe she was different when it was just the two of you." She wasn't. She just wore the mask better when there was an audience. After that night, I stopped checking her social media. I used to, out of some morbid curiosity, wanting to see how fast she moved on, how easily she replaced me. Photos with friends, filtered smiles, vacation posts pretending everything was fine. But I don't care anymore. I don't want to know who she's lying to now. I just want to keep building what's real. And funny enough, that started with the smallest thing, planting a tree. I dug the hole myself, got dirt under my nails, picked a young maple from the nursery, and placed it right in the center of the backyard, where she once wanted a hot tub she never got around to ordering. I named the tree Restart, because that's what this is. Not a rebound, not a comeback, a rebirth. Every day it grows as a reminder I survived. Not just her betrayal, not just the lies, but the version of myself who thought he deserved it. That guy's gone, and in his place is someone stronger, smarter, and finally free.